In this example, I need to factor completely 81x squared minus 100y squared. The first thing we do with every factoring problem is look for greatest common factor. Do these two terms have anything in common? Well, looking at the numbers, I have an 81 and 100. 81 is 9 squared, 100 is 10 squared, so there's no common numerical factor. The first term has x's in it, but the second term doesn't. The second term has y's in it, but the first term doesn't, so there's no common variable common factor either. As there is no common factor between these terms, we now look at how many terms are there. Well, I only have two terms, and the two terms are connected by a minus sign. So is this the special case, the difference of two squares? So let's look at what happens with the difference of two squares. There have to be two terms. I've written my problem down here again. Well, I definitely have two terms. There's a minus sign between the two terms. Yes, I have that too. And both of the terms have to be perfect squares. Well, 81 is 9 squared. X squared is a perfect square. 100 is 10 squared. And y squared is a perfect square. So yes, this meets all the conditions. It's the difference of two squares. And when we have the difference of two squares, a squared minus b squared, when we factor it into two binomials, you take the square root of the first term, that becomes the first term of each binomial. The square root of the second term, that becomes the second term in each binomial, and you have to put opposite signs in each parentheses. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. When I factor this expression, I'm going to get two binomials. And the first term is the square root of 81x squared. Well, the square root of 81 is 9. The square root of x squared is x. So my first term in each binomial is 9x. Then I have to have opposite signs in the parentheses. Does it matter which one has the minus and which one has the plus? No. So I'm going to put a minus in the first parentheses, a plus in the second. And the second term in each binomial is the square root of 100y squared. The square root of 100 is 10, and the square root of y squared is y. So I'm going to have a 10y as the second term in each binomial. So when I factor my expression 81x squared minus 100y squared, I get the quantity 9x minus 10y times the quantity 9x plus 10y. And it would have been equally correct if I'd have written the 9x plus 10y before the 9x minus 10y. One last thing, I can check my answer by foiling out these two binomials to see if I get my original expression.